Welcome to the Employment Wednesday podcast with Yvonne Shabangu. Have you heard of the scripture Hosea 4 verse 6? My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. The same applies to your career. When you don't know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you are likely to make wrong career choices. But worry not. Employment Wednesdays is here for you to offer you all the answers relating to your career and offer you strategies to develop your career. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. You are welcome to another episode of Employment Wednesdays. So when you see me here, just know that I'm interviewing a fave. You guys know I've been away. So if I'm here, it means like you're going to have the most, like you're going to enjoy your time. So I'm seated with one of my faves, my dream girl. I'm seated with Nthati Meso. I'm not going to read her bio because I want her to introduce herself, right? So we're going to go into her career journey. So usually growing up, I've always thought architects are people that wear overalls, your PIPs and all of these things, the big boots and stuff. But we also get to see them looking as beautiful, as very relaxed. And we're also going to go into her journey as an entrepreneur. Nthati, thank you so much for honoring my invite.
Thank you so much. I feel important. You came all the way.
Kilometers and kilometers. So I didn't want to read your bio because I really feel like it's actually very long. That's why I'm not reading it, actually, by the way. So tell us about yourself briefly, what you currently do, what you studied professionally, then we can go into the conversation.
Okay, no worries. My name is Nthati. Thank you for inviting me. I am an architect by profession, candidate. By profession, I am currently a brand strategist. I work in marketing, I work in branding. But I started my career or my tertiary years as an architect. I went through my journey. I finished my degrees. I finished my master's in architecture. I served some parts of my articles, but I never wrote my exams.
Okay.
I never wrote the bar.
Okay.
Because I pivoted. I pivoted, but it was quite instrumental in my journey.
Okay, I love it. So we're going to start off with some icebreakers. We're going to get the tea. Okay, what's the list amount of money you've gotten as a salary where you were like, hi, this is not it?
It was actually very good.
Okay.
It was, I think my first salary was 7,400.
Okay.
As a tutor.
Okay.
I was a senior tutor at the university. That was my first job. So it didn't feel like little because I was a student. I think I was doing either my first year of master's somewhere there. So it was really good for me at the time. I just needed food, to not stress my parents, to go out every Thursday. So it was great for that time. So that was the least amount.
All right. So by the way, she started from the University of Johannesburg. I forgot to say that. Her DNA, nothing but orange DNA. Okay. So if you had an unlimited budget, right? And I don't want the serious stuff. The serious things have been taken care of because I know you're going to say, I'll start a business, I'll set up a trust and stuff. Okay. So all the important things have been taken care of. You've got unlimited funds. What would you do with it?
Ooh, travel.
Okay.
Travel. I am this is unlimited. Everything's taken care of. School fees, house, everything. I would definitely travel. And I think the reason why is because I have started businesses. I have invested. I have, done all that stuff. So I know the pros and cons of everything.
Yeah.
Well, in my life, not everything. In my life. But I think that the type of education that travel has afforded me, I've been to 19 countries, over 30 cities. So I want to do more of it because it's a lifetime education.
Okay.
So I'd love to explore more of the world. Yeah.
Okay. What's that one country, not the one that you've been, but the one that you want to go to so badly?
I've been to a lot of the countries that I've wanted to go to so badly, but I think that a country, let me really think, right? Okay, we've got Morocco, okay, which is a close, I really would love to do it.
Yeah.
And then I have areas like your Scotland, your Switzerland, you know, like that I'd really love to explore. So I haven't been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're in a desert, right?
Yeah.
3 items that you think you must have or you would take with you. Like you have literally 30 seconds, you're preparing to go to the desert, you're at home, 30-second, pick up 3 items. What are those items you would pick and
Outside,
why?
like assuming there's water.
No, there's no water. Like, yeah, it's a desert.
I would take my Bible.
Okay.
I mean, those people lived in the desert. There should be some clues in there as well.
You'll be performing miracles.
I'll be like, okay.
Okay.
You know. So I'll take my Bible. Water is important. And then I'd take another book, because I'm like, what am I going to do with the phone? It's gonna die.
There's no reception.
There's no battery. There's no reception. So I'd like read.
Okay, I love that. All right, so now we can go into a conversation.
Right.
Primary school. What did you want to be?
I wanted to be an architect.
So it's always been a thing.
Yeah. So I watched Top Billing 96 or 97 when it went on. I'm so glad it's coming back. And the reason I watched it was because of the houses. And from there, I wanted to be an architect. And there was no other thing, except a little bit later in high school, I saw The Devil Wears Prada. And I was like, oh, I need to be in media and like all that stuff. My mom was so confused because she was like, you've wanted to be an architect all this time. I even went to a technical high school because I wanted to be an architect. But I wanted to be an architect. That was first and foremost. And so it was a no-brainer for me.
Okay. So you drew inspiration just from Top Billing.
Yeah.
There was no other inspiration. It was just like, okay, what do these people do? How did you know that they're architects who build houses and all of these things?
Because they would come on the show and then they would say, the architect is so-and-so, you know, and then back then, I mean, we didn't have a computer at home, but then my mom would bring me information from work because they had internet at work. So she would print out stuff for me from work. And then there also was a Sunday Times section with the houses at the end. Then I started seeing that and they would write, here's the architect and all that. And then slowly got into the magazines. So that is how I knew, because I would listen to what they say. So I didn't really care about the owners of the of the houses.
Yes,
I listened to what the architects were saying. You know, they would speak about natural light and they would speak about beams and all of that stuff. And I was like very drawn to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. So in primary school, what is your fondest memory that you can remember? The one that you tell to your lovely daughter or that you've already told to say, you see me, Lizwe, I would do ABCD.
I will do ABC. Oh man, I don't really have a lot of memories from primary school. I don't know why. But I do remember always being like a stationary girl.
Okay.
I was a big letter writer and like, you know, stationery and diaries and all that stuff, right? So that was like my thing. I would write my friends letters all the time. So that is what I remember the most about primary school. I don't have like big fond memories of primary school.
Okay, then let's go into your high school. How was high school? Did you enjoy it? How was your experience of high school?
I loved high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I love school. Like I love education. So I had fun. You know, the school I went to a school, it was a technical high school, Afrikaans school. They later went into English, but we were like the first group that was still Afrikaans. And I had fun. You know, I did well. I did a lot of cultural things, drama. I stayed fit, debating. You know, I was just a busy girl, which I truly enjoyed. So I had fun in high school.
All right, that's good. And then you talk about having this season or this era where you wanted to go into media during high school. How do you then strike a balance to say, okay, I'm going to do architecture or I'm going to do media? What informed your choice to go with the other part?
So I had a brilliant mother. My mom was an educator. So what she did when I was in grade 11, so in grade 10 I had my subjects and all of that, and she could see that, hey man, this Devil Wears Prada movie played a big number on me. So we went to the University of Johannesburg at the I think psych ed, psych ed at the time, and they were offering aptitude tests, but like with a clinical psychologist, or I don't know who
The professionals,
the professional in that space. And it was a full day assessment. Like, so it was like out of this world. It was expensive at the time. I think it was like 500 Rand.
Oh, you had to pay for it?
Yes, it was a paid for thing. She booked it. She was like, yo, this is expensive, but we've got to get this out of the way. And she didn't want me to go into my matric year confused. So she was like, we are applying with your grade 11 marks and your marks are good. But when we apply in January of the next year in matric, I want you to have a clear direction. So we had a great interviews. It was, they did like computer assessments and then they did interviews and then there's like other things that we did on the day, which was really great. And then at the end, the psychologist sat with us and she said my brain or my test results came back 50% completely creative, structural and all of that. And then 50%, so completely creative, and then 50% structural. So it's hard because it's never this. But the careers, she said interior design, architect, and then she said marketing, right?
Okay.
And then my mom was like, that is so random, right? And so I could have gone into marketing, but then I said, I'm going to study the hardest thing first. Okay. So I went into architecture. I applied for interior design. I got rejected for interior design, but because my science and maths marks were high. So they put me into architecture, you know. So that is how it went. So I wasn't confused when I applied.
Okay.
I applied in time. In matric, also architecture, you can't apply in January. You have to apply around May because then around August, September, they do assessments for intake for the new year.
Okay.
They have like thousands of applicants, but there's only 110 spots. Okay. So I went through that assessment. I think it was a 2 or 3 part assessment. The third part is an interview with the head of department, and that's how I got accepted.
And at the time, you're still in grade 12?
I'm still in matric. Yeah, I knew by matric, I'm accepted. I'm going somewhere next year, etc. But my mom was, she was...
She was very clear and strict about the career that you chose.
Yeah.
Okay, so you speak a lot about your career choices being influenced by what you watched, right? Because we start off with Top Billing, then we go The Devil Wears Prada. What do you think is the importance of what we consume with our eyes, ears, and like in general? Why is it important that we are mindful of what we consume, where our life choices are concerned, including our careers?
So I think it's so important. Media is so important. And we downplay how incredibly important that is. It also includes like social media now. But literally when I saw Anne Hathaway in The Devil Wears Prada and I saw those architects, I saw myself. And maybe it was in their mannerisms, maybe it's in the way they were thinking, maybe it's in the way their lives were set up, but I saw myself. I didn't see myself as the devil or what's the lead character in The Devil Wears Prada? No, I saw myself as the Anne Hathaway. And so that is so important because whatever we put out there, someone has to see themselves in you. And that's why there'll never be too many people are doing podcasts. Too many people are doing content because someone out there has to see themselves in a podcast to be like, oh, the way she's doing it, that could be me too, because I see me in her, you know? And so you definitely have to consume it. I always like following content and watching movies where I feel like a large part of me is represented, not just in color, but in thinking, in belief, in strategies, in opinions, you know? So I think that's important.
All right, thank you. That's a very power-packed response. So now you get accepted, then you go into UJ. How is that transition from high school into uni? Were you prepared for it? What was the experience like?
It was so brutal. Okay. But, you know, during my matric year, my mom took me to all the universities in Gauteng. again.
Was this a random tour? Hey, Nthati, we're going to all the universities the coming month.
So because she wanted, before I applied, she wanted me to make sure that I get into the right institution for me. So I knew that I wanted to stay close to my parents. My parents were in Gauteng. I didn't have Cape Town ambitions.
Okay.
I didn't have UKZN ambitions. I wanted to stay close to my parents, my support system. So that was like a thing for me. And then, so we went to UP, we went to Tax, we went to UJ, we went to, we traveled all around. And she started showing me universities, how it works and stuff like that, because she worked at a university.
Oh, okay.
So she would tell me that.
Is she an academic?
My mom, yeah, she was a lecturer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So she would tell me how universities work, the structures, where to get support, psych-ed, this. So I felt really prepared. And then remember, like, when she went to drop me off, I stayed at home for my first university year. And she said, if a boy comes to you and asks you, do you know where the bathrooms are? Say yes. So her thing was, she wants me to know where the bathrooms are so that the boys can't dribble me, right? So
they can't lie to you and be like, let's escort you.
Let's escort you. Yeah. So she's like, so we did a whole trip around the school. This is where the bathrooms are. This is where the student center is. This is where this and this and this is. So it was, I felt well adjusted, and I was going home every evening. So that really assisted.
Okay. So so basically, from what I'm picking up, your mom played a big part in supporting you transition into the university space.
Yes.
What would you say to parents out there that have their children going to university? How would you advise them to help their children prepare in making a career choice or in transitioning better into university?
I think that obviously what I find a lot is a lot of parents think that matric is when you should be applying.
Yeah.
And you actually apply with your grade 11 marks, you know. So that is a big thing that I speak to a lot of my friends. I'm like, what are the kids doing, you know, in grade 11, you know? Do they know what they are already doing?
Yeah.
So that is an important part. It's understanding that the grade 11 marks are more important than the matric marks.
Okay.
So that is a part that I think that we don't understand. Number two, I didn't go to a fancy school. You know, we couldn't financially afford for me to go to the school that I thought, okay, this would be a great school for me. But I never made a fuss out of it because I understood. But there were some sacrifices that my mom did, especially in my matric year. This one sacrifice she did, she took a pay cut so that she can pick me up every day after school in matric to drop me off at tutors, extramurals. There were extramurals at, you know, like the schools in Tembisa where those kids get 100% in maths. So I would go there, you know, for extramurals because my mom took a pay cut that year. So I just felt like, okay, I can't let her down. Outside of me wanting to do good, I can't let her down. So I think parents need to understand more about sacrifice. Education is super important. It's not just about the school that they're in. You can do a lot even in a school that doesn't look the best or is in a private school, you know. Just by you focusing on that, there was enough material at home. There was dedicated space for me to study. There was nutritional food, you know. I never had to struggle with that. So there was an environment that was created that prioritized my education.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that. I guess also the important thing is, as a parent, it's important to create an environment that allows your child to thrive in their education, whatever form of education that is. Okay. So now you go into university, right? And you've transitioned well, technically, but how was your experience in terms of making friends, university culture? And did you know what your degree could offer you? Did you know the type of job, like in a literal sense, that you would do?
So, you know, university was hard. Like architecture was very hard for me. It wasn't easy in terms of marks. You know, I wasn't a straight A student, but I was like a good student in high school. And I went from that to like failing, you know, and all of that. But what I I decided that this is a different thing. It's a new thing. And, I had, I was in class with kids who were coming from private schools. They had been to all these buildings around the world. They were like very polished in their speaking. And I was like, you know what, I deserve to be here. So it wasn't easy, with that. But making friends was also not easy. But I did make friends. I made friends socially in university, in class, and I also made friends who knew things I didn't know.
Okay.
I was like, you've traveled the world, you've seen certain buildings. This looks easy for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be your friend, which I think sometimes it's frowned upon. Some of those friendships worked out. I'm still friends with some of those people. Some of them didn't work out, But that was the social part. I was really just focused on school the first year or two, and then I was able to socialize later in my studies when I found my feet.
Okay. You speak about failing at some point, but you go on to go do your master's. How does that happen? Because, most of the time when people go through failing academically, they just want to finish the degree and keep it moving. But you go and say, you know what, I'm going to pass this thing eventually and I'm going to master at it. How did you arrive to that conclusion?
So the nice thing about architecture, it's a year-long course. So if you failed a semester, you can make up for it in the second semester.
Okay.
So unlike other courses because I'm like, you guys, like these people just come from high school and now you're giving them 6 months to master everything. I didn't understand the whole semester thing.
So wait, when you're saying it's a year long, like is it just literally 1 year?
It's 1 year, one module. Like, so meaning, no, it's not 1 year. It's a long course, but it's yearly subjects.
Yeah,
you
modules.
do one subject from January or February all the way to November, December.
Right.
So if you fail that subject mid-year, you can still make up in the second semester.
Okay.
So it's not like a course 6 months.
It's not semester modules, it's year modules.
Yeah. So that was really what gave me insight. But the first year for me was just paddling and trying to pass. So I was just passing. I was like just passing, and I passed first year, all my 7 modules done. The second year, we were working as well. So you did in-service training Monday to Thursday, and then Friday you were at school. So that was also difficult. And that year also just passed. Third year is your first exit year. So that was really hard. I did one supplementary. So one supplementary, and then I went in. I completed that. So when I started, so you finish your degree, we had NDIP, BTech Masters for 2 years. So that was a different time. I think now they have, they have the BArch, and then they have the honors, and then they have masters.
The masters. Okay.
So we had that time, it was very early on. We had that structure. And then when I got to 4th year, this is my BTech now, I finished my BTech. The reason why I wanted to continue with my master's, number one, is in architecture, you become an architectural technologist.
Okay.
So that's like the technical architect. You don't really become the architect after your BTech. And there was no pressure at home to immediately go to work. I felt like I was still in my prime. The money that they were offering at entry level was just not enough for me. And I literally sat my parents down. I'm like, guys, I have to continue. And so I went in and did my master's full time. The first year I failed.
Okay. You have quite a relationship with failure, like you bounce back like it never happened.
It was probably the most amazing academic year. I failed that year, but then I went on and graduated really well. Not cum laude, but very well, you know. And so I failed the first year, then the second year of master's, I did exceptionally well, and the last year I did really well as well. And that's when I found myself. So the year that I failed, I went into marketing at school. I went into events. I went into all these things that helped develop my skill. And that's actually where I landed my first job out of varsity. So it was a great year, terrible financially for my family. We had to take student loan debt and all that stuff. But I just felt like, in hindsight, best year.
It all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out.
So now you experienced this failure in as much as you'd say that you are not an A student, but you're a good student. How do you break the news home? How do you get to your parents and be like, guys, I'm failing my master's and I know you guys are taking a knock financially.
Yeah.
How was that conversation like? Or did you just go about and not tell them, like, I'm
No,
just
I immediately I found out. I called my mom, and I think because she knew how hard I worked, she knew that I'm failing because it was hard, not because
Okay.
I didn't try.
Okay.
And so I called her and I was crying, and she was like, "I'm so sorry." And I went home and she was cuddling. I mean, it was a very healthy situation there.
Okay.
So she knew that I failed because it was difficult and not because of my lack of efforts. So it was really, there was no hard thing, about it. It was like, so sorry. The next day went out for coffee. It was like, let's try again. That's it.
Okay. That's lovely. I love how your mom is strict but so supportive.
Yes.
It's such a beautiful trait to have, because sometimes drawing like a balance can be very hard. So now you're done with your master's, you've done well, you've secured a job. How was your transition from uni into a new job? Was it smooth? Did you face any challenges?
It was hard.
Okay, tell us about the hard.
So I love school. I thrive in school. I struggle to adjust into the real world.
Okay.
Yeah. And you must remember, I left when I was 25. I finished my master's at 25.
Yeah.
And so from 7 years old to 25, I was in school. And just going into traditional work, 9 to 5, I realized my brain doesn't work that way. So I struggled with corporate. I struggled with routine. That routine. I have my own routine. Even as a student, I had my own routine.
Yeah.
But I struggled with that routine. And all. The thing that saved me, though, was that I had 2 jobs that year. I had a job in the university, actually 3 jobs. So I was a lecturer. I did some communication work for the graduate school as their junior program lead. And then I also did working as an architect. So that is what saved me that year.
All right. So now, what does an architect do to somebody who wants to go into the space or industry? Like, what does it entail? What are the requirements? What does it look like day to day?
So it depends on when you're starting out.
Yeah.
If you work for a firm, you would be introduced into projects. In these projects, you would not be project managing when you're a baby or design lead. You usually start as a candidate architect. So that's what I was, right? I started as a candidate architect. The boss would come and give you a brief, and they would give you like a rough sketch of this is what I want. And sometimes we would do the research on the styles. It depends if it was an office block and all that. And then help define the brief from the client. So we would refine it to say, we think this is what would happen, what should happen. We think this is what you should be building and all of that. And then after that, you meet clients, to make sure that you are on the same page, go back into the drawing board. You start breaking down this building. You go on site as well to look at the land. Will it work? Is there anything wrong with the soil? Are the levels okay? How many stairs? What type of area is it? And all of that stuff. So you would go on site, come back, and then start the design process. And sometimes we build models as well, like physical models, just to start exploring. And then go back to your boss and critique with them, like back and forth to say, is this working? They'll say, no, put more windows here. We need more natural light. We need this. Maybe he forgot to tell us there's an old lady, so we might need escalators or whatever. I mean, not elevators and all of that. So it's just a back and forth, and then you use computer programs for designing. We sketch by hand as well. And then you present to client. They could shoot it and shoot it down, or they could say yay, and then once they approve the design, then you go into the technical phase, which is drawing it up for the municipality. So you need to know the standard of drawings that the municipality requires. Ablutions, toilets, sewage, all that boring stuff. Really, like the stuff I had a substitute test for, so supplementary exam for, and so all that boring stuff. And then once the drawings have been approved, so they have to be signed off by a professional architect, and they have to be signed off by an engineer. and they have to be approved by council.
Okay.
So once they're approved by council, that's when you get to go on site. And then now you become project manager on site.
Okay.
Where you're going to site maybe once or twice a week. You have a contractor. They have your drawings, and you make sure the building is up to completion stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is the career, how versatile is the industry, and also how is the career progression?
So if you want to stick to traditional architecture, I think the career progression is quite slow.
Okay.
And the reason why I pivoted out of architecture was I didn't see myself progressing the way I thought or hoped that I would. Like I was like, man, like I like the nice things in life. This is gonna go a little too slow for me.
Yeah.
But also I didn't enjoy that whole process that I just spoke to you
Yeah.
about. I didn't enjoy it at all. So I enjoyed it at school, not in practice.
Okay.
And so I look at my friends now, they've been in the industry for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
They've been architects because they're no longer candidates, they're now professional architects. And they're doing well in the career, in the profession, but there's always room for growth financially. So my friends are doing well. There's always the conversation around architecture and money. People assume architects make money, and the pay bracket is little in Africa. The reason why, if you are in London and you are in the US, if you need to do any renovations in a home, in a structure, you call an architect. In South Africa, you call umalume or drowayo.
Yes.
So our industry is not well regulated.
Okay.
And so because of that, the value of what we do, which is really high, is not valued in this market. And so your income prospects are really low.
Okay.
So even as a candidate architect, you just come from a master's degree. Every single candidate architect has a master's degree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a prerequisite for you to
really?
see
Okay.
candidate architect. Yeah. So all of us have master's degrees. So your family put you through 6-7 years of school, but your entry salaries at the time was like 15K, right?
Really?
Which is like, it didn't make sense. So, and then you grow from 15K to like 21. And then after a few years, you're at 27, and then after a few years, maybe at 10 years, you get to your 40K, right? And it just, for me, it didn't add up, financially, and it didn't make sense. However, architecture as a study opens you up to so many other things.
Okay.
I have friends who are furniture designers, who are interior designers, who went into interior design. Because architecture sits sort of at the top of the design world, we are trained to do anything in design. So I can do furniture, I can do interior design, I can do movies, I can do productions, I can do graphic design. I can, there's so much that you're trained at. So as a training, as an education, brilliant. As a profession, traditionally, maybe not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're going into it, don't be so fixated on the money. If you want quick bucks.
No, it's not a money thing. And I think that I opened my eyes pretty early on and opened up to the education of architecture. I think that, I would support my child if she wanted to study architecture, because what it does to your mind is it really unlocks many things that I don't think all professions can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to take us to the day where you're like, no, this is not it. Yes, this was the dream, but then that one day you decide, you're like, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm going into something completely different. What changed? What was the plot twist?
So I didn't like architecture in the office. I didn't want to do bathrooms.
Okay.
I was like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to draw bathrooms. I don't want to fight with contractors. So the actual job didn't. Much to my parents' dismay. I think this was the first time I broke their hearts, right? Because they were just shattered. I think they still are shattered. Because I pivoted so fast that they didn't have time, to be like, no, but like think about it.
To convince you otherwise.
And I came home and I told my parents, look at this person, look at this person, look at this person. Outside of the money part, the way architects work is abnormal. they don't have children, they're not married. And I said, I don't think I want this life, right? I don't think and not to say, I think things have changed recently over the last 5 years or so, post-COVID,
Yeah.
where I see practices are now looking into hybrid work, they're more supportive of mothers, etc. But my favorite architects in the world didn't have children. And I was like, nah, fam. Like, they work overtime, underpaid. It just wasn't making sense to me. And so I had to take that on and say, okay, with this degree, what did I learn that I can explore other things with? And I pivoted. So that was it for me. It was, I looked at my heroes, female heroes, and they had lives I didn't want.
Okay.
And I said, it's either I switch now or I'm miserable in my 40s.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. So then what was the plan? What did you do after you're like, okay, leaving these big bucks in corporate, let me go do something else? What was that thing? How does it start?
I went into network marketing.
Okay.
which was crazy.
Okay.
At the time, there's a friend of mine, he's also an architect. And, I loved him, I respected him. He was one of my best friends in varsity. And he's like, hey, there's this tea thing, I was like, yeah, I'm doing it, I wasn't shy. I'm not a shy girl. And I had the what's the word? The privilege of youth.
Okay.
I had the privilege of youth. I was still staying home. Nothing hectic was going on in my life. And I said, I'm going to do it. And I succeeded in it. It was kind of a shocker. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is that. And that kind of like was the springboard for me. And it was great because then I left my parents' house and I haven't been back since. So that's, I always tell them, you don't need to know what I'm doing. Just know I haven't come home.
Come back,
in like 10 years. So I'm doing well. And so that was the springboard to my other ventures.
Okay.
I started selling.
Okay. All right. So there's money in the selling. But it depends what you're selling. Everything and anything.
Yeah, there is money though.
Okay. So you start like our famous Boss Plus One, right?
Yes.
How did that come about? Why did you start it? And how I believe that it's one of your entrepreneurial ventures, but how was that experience? What inspired you to actually start it?
So I was always a stationery girl. So I had a stationery business in high school, but then it dissolved. And then I just loved stationery. And I was struggling to find a planner after I gave birth.
Okay.
So I had planners and all that stuff before. And then I gave birth and I had postpartum depression for 2 years. And I was like, where's my motivation? Why can't I find tools to put my life together?
Yeah.
Then I started putting my life together on paper. A friend of mine came to visit and she's like, what is this method, this thing that you have on paper? I was like, no, this is how I plan my life now because I couldn't find something that does both of these things together. And she's like, why don't you just do it? And that's how we started. She was actually the first person I worked with. She's a designer. And that's how Boss Plus One started. It was just from, here's a tool I need, and then I shared it. The first year, the sales I think were like 50 orders. It was like friends and family. Then the second year was like 100 and something. I was like, oh my God, this is cool. And then COVID happened, and people were at home, and the stationery industry grew by like a large percentage, and we went from 100 and something orders to like a big amount, So I think that's how the story happened.
Okay. And then you're taking a break. Why? Like, I think it was very important that I ask about this, right? Because we're living in an era. So I love how you explained the whole thing about rest and productivity and how yes, you're very strict on working hard. You've got an amazing work ethic and all of that, but also you're pro resting. You are pro productivity, efficiency, and all of these things, right? Why do you think in a world where we are go, let's go up the ladder, let's get this, let's hustle? Why is it important for us to rest and actually, be productive in our rest as well, or knowing also when to take a break and knowing when to actually stop and knowing when to return?
So the thing is about your body, if you don't take a break, it will take a break for you,
Okay.
right? And I was just at a stage, the last 3 years have been brutal on my body, from going into bad situations and grieving. And then this year, I went, like medically, I recovered from a pulmonary embolism,
Sure.
which is deadly, right? It's like you statistically not supposed to recover from one, and so that happened, and I was like, I'm not going to put pressure on myself to produce this while recovering from this thing, and the production, because someone was like, why can't you just print a few? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Like the work of putting out stationery and a planner and journals and all that is it's a body of work.
Yeah.
And so the work is equally as much as doing one. And so I decided that we're just going to go on a break. We're just going to go on a production break, and we'll come back when I'm feeling better. And, just wrap up what just happened, wrap around my head what just happened, my new lifestyle, because there's a new lifestyle now with this thing, what it means for me and my daughter and my future. So so that's exactly why I was like,
Yeah, let me not force
let me
myself.
not force this, because stress is a killer, and you think you're not stressed, but you are.
Okay.
But you really are.
All right. So you didn't want your body to actually collapse on you.
No, there's nothing that's better than being healthy.
No, that's true. Love that. We're about to close. What has been the highlight of your career? Like looking at timeline, I hope I helped you like see a map or how far you've come.
Yeah.
What has been the highlight of your career when you think about it, you're like, wow, girl, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. I've done some amazing things. But I was not ashamed as such, but aware of the fact that I don't have a single career, like a road, like I look at some of my friends and I'm like, their careers are so amazing. They went from this to associate to this to that, I don't have that. And so I have what I now call the portfolio career, where I've done a lot of stuff to the best of my ability. So when someone is like, oh, have you done this? I'm like, yes, I have. Have you done this? I'm like, yes, I have,
Yeah.
And I'm learning to be proud of that, because it really is how my life has been. But I'll mention some highlights. Early on in my career, I was brought in as one of the four women of the South African Women in Architecture Task Force.
Okay.
So that was really great. I was the youngest on the committee as well. That was like a big moment. I was also able to host a conference with the International Union of Architects with over 700 students around South Africa. Okay. So that was really like a great time with the AZ, it's called the AZA conference. And then, because those were glimmers that maybe I'm not going to be stuck in this thing. There's other things for me out there as well. Boss Plus One was a great career moment. The work I do now is amazing. I'm lead brand strategist at Wisdom and Wellness, which is an incredible brand. And that was a brand I had on my vision board.
Okay.
But not to do the work I do there. I just thought I'd go in to do like stationery. That was it. I was like, I'm just gonna do the stationery. But I had it on in my vision board. And then to be here 3 years later, that's pretty big deal.
Okay. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for honoring my invite.
Thank you.
It is lovely having you. And sometimes it's so crazy how sometimes you can look at a person and think, oh my God, they just like a little bit playful and stuff. But then when you look at their resume, you're like, oh, these people are so serious. People work out there. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for honoring my invite. And I hope somebody at home learns something from this episode. And I think one thing that I have personally learned is that you don't have to limit yourself. No. You're literally an unlimited human being. You can become anything you would like. Happy Employment Wednesdays. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.